What is in store for me this chapter? Is Emu going to go on the counterattack after Loki landed a pretty big blow on him last chapter? Is Loki going to get clapped? Is Luffy going to join the battle and reunite the sun god with the devil? Or are we potentially going to cut away? Honestly, I don't know, and I can't wait to find out because this break, due to Golden Week has been a bit excruciating. Breaks are always excruciating, but Oda's got to stay healthy. I want him to be able to do what he's got to do, but I could not wait to get into this chapter. So, just some thoughts before I explore. Like I said, I'm curious to see if we're going to stick with the Emu and Loki fight, maybe potentially see Emu pull out some additional moves or go on the counter attack and put the pressure back on Loki. Maybe Loki will get to see his hybrid form. Um, or I would actually be more surprised if we did stick with this battle between Loki and Umu for the entirety of the chapter. It was already kind of rare when it comes to One Piece in having just a full chapter focused on a singular battle. And we got that last chapter. So if I had to venture a guess, I would say maybe we'll get a mixture of their fight and cut away to maybe like Luffy or the other groups. Obviously, we know Killingham and Summers are back on the move due to Emu's omen that he gifted them. So we're going to have to deal with them because they're assumedly going to start operating again wherever they're going or planning whatever they're planning to do now that Emu has arrived as their reinforcements. So that's about it. Just like last chapter, I hope Emu continues to talk, keep talking, give us more information because this guy is just the treasure trove of all of the information that us as the readers and as the community want. He's got it all. So I wish I could just like download, like plug my brain into Emus and just get everything he's got. But unfortunately, we can't do that. So we're just going to have to wait for Oda to tell us. And most of the time in Oda fashion, he's going to give us a few more answers or a few breadcrumbs that then just going to open up the door and the gate to 100 other questions and speculations. So, and that's one of the great things about One Piece and why there's so much to talk about in the community as well. But without further ado, going to dive into chapter 1182, which is titled ZaZa, which that almost makes me feel like it's like a typo. I don't know what that is. I immediately think of like the obvious jokes of like smoking on Zaza, but I don't think that was the intended purpose of this title. So, as far as I know, this Zaza has not been referenced before in One Piece. I could be wrong. There's a lot of chapters, but I'm almost positive we have not seen or heard this word before, so I don't know what it's in reference to. Obviously, it's like two just kind of popping into my head is we do have it's two of the same. It's za and za. So I mean, we have like I don't know. I'm trying to think of like things where it's just like the same two letters back to back, and all I can think of is really like Vivi or uh Lily. So Alabasta, I don't know. Maybe this has something to do with Vivi. I don't know. I'm taking some shots in the dark right now, and I probably sound pretty dumb. So I'm just gonna stop because I'm gonna assume this chapter we're gonna get some information on whatever this word means. So the cover page here is Isho savoring a bowl of udon painstakingly crafted by a fox and a tanuki. Interesting. Okay, so we get an actual, tanuki there. Everybody calls Chopper a tanuki, but he's a reindeer. But we got Fujitora here just slurping down some udon Love to see it. Back in Dressrosa, like you see him eating either udon or ramen as he's, floating their battleship over to like Greenbit. So Isho is just always out there just eating some noodles. So I respect it. Noodles are great. But let's get into this chapter. And we are opening up. We've got Loki in full Nidhogg form, kind of flying towards Emu at the Atom Tree. And he says his presence is still there. Wheeze, wheeze. Okay, so Emu or Loki here, he obviously he took some significant damage from his bout with Emu last chapter, and Loki wasn't even like fully recovered anyways from all of the damage he took from Shamrock as well. Gunko and Shamrock when they first showed up on Elbaf. So like Loki is not in his prime form right now. But he's holding it together. We've got Ragnar on top of him jumping around. And again, he says that it's hard to keep him in sight when I'm so huge, which is a great point. You are absolutely gargantuan, which is why I want to see your hybrid form. Like you're still huge in your hybrid, you're still huge like in your just ancient giant form. So you're going to be still huge in your hybrid form, but you should be more agile for a smaller opponent in that form. And then now we are seeing Emu here saying Nidhogg. To think that I would see thee again in this world. Traitor. And Emu is coughing. He's coughing and he's huffing and he's got the blood coming down. So he took some damage from that massive strike from Loki and Ragnar last chapter. Obviously, he was caught distracted because he was just kind of tweaking out thinking about Joy Boy in the past. So like his guard was down, but I mean he took some damage. And this is interesting here for me when Emu says traitor, like when he says to think I would see you again in this world and he calls him a traitor. I read this one of two ways, which is he is saying that one, it depends on what time frame we're talking about. So in the past, he obviously knew of Nidhogg, and at least from what we've got from the lore, the war god, the previous wielder of the Nidhogg devil fruit, and Ragnar had fought against Nika in the past. So is it either the Nidhogg of the past, who are the wielder of that, were they actually on Emu's side and helped fight against the sun god? And then so now Emu seeing the current Nidhogg fighting against him, he's calling him a traitor now? Or were they allies in the past, but then whatever happened during the Void Century, during that time, whoever the war god Nidhogg and Ragnar sided with Joy Boy presumably and fought against Emu there, and so he's basically saying like traitor because you betrayed me in the past, or is he saying traitor because now your current incarnation is fighting against me in the current world? So I'd like to know kind of what your read on that traitor statement is, because Emu didn't know that the Nidhogg was in Elbaf for this whole time. So I'm just really curious about that. Hopefully, maybe he'll give us some more info, maybe not, but this is what I'm talking about. Emu starts talking. I am listening. I'm tuned in, probably looking into his words a little bit too much. But he's hacking and he's coughing. Obviously, we know the damage. That was a powerful strike from Loki and Ragnar. But then on top of it, we know he was already suffering from being here in the lower realm period. So I wonder if it's like like in video games when you like have a bleed or some sort of damage over time effect. is it like slowly ticking, like ticking away at him? Or is it just like it initially struck him when he first came through the abyss? He took the toll, and then now he's on like a time limit before he's got to get like kicked back out. There's so much. I just want to know everything. And he is snow. Ah, indeed. Lightning caused by an impact with ice. Thy affinity for one another was always great. He's obviously familiar. Ragnir. He's calling. He's calling out Ragnir. So thou stayed as thou were in days past, waiting for a new master to come along. How familiar thy sight is. So very familiar. I wish Ragnir could talk. I wish this squirrel, this hammer, this mythical hammer squirrel could speak and not just like he looked. Ragnar actually kind of looks pissed off here. He's like, "Don't you freaking talk to me, squeak squeak," talking squirrel. But I'm like, please, just like we need a translator. Loki, can you translate for us from Ragnar? But this is really cool. I like how he's bringing up the synergy between the Nidhogg's lightning and the ice of the mythical ice squirrel Ratatoskr, because then we get the official like title card of Hammer Ragnar Squirrel Squirrel Fruit mythical type model ice squirrel Ratatoskr. So love seeing that cool synergy between the two powers and how they amplify each other. And speaking of tag team synergistic amplification, a lot of big words, I know. We have Ragnar shooting out like a cloud of ice, and then Loki charging up some lightning from his mouth. Ragna Quint arrow. Quint 5, right? I believe that is what Quint translates to. But obviously, there's more than 5 blasts here. So it's sweet because it's sending the lightning through the ice cloud to essentially combine to make their impact more devastating. That's sweet. So they're doing like combo elemental attacks. This is awesome to see. I mean, you have 2 mythical creatures tag teaming. And it's also super cool because when Loki goes into Nidhogg form, Ragnar goes from his hammer to his squirrel form. So then we have 2 mythical creatures fighting together. And then when he reverts back to his giant form, Ragnar then transforms into the actual hammer. It's super cool. I love it. Like having the living weapon, basically, because that's something also with Zoans. Like for Kaido, for example, he had his club, but then when he would transform into his Azure Dragon, the club would just disappear. But but then when he would transform either into his back into his Oni form or his hybrid form, the club just like reappeared. And that's just where it's like anime suspension of disbelief sort of thing going on. But I like how it actually like makes complete sense for Loki and Ragnar here. And then okay, so he's shooting out all the ice lightning arrows, and we have Emu like raising his hands up above his head, and he's saying gazing eclipse, and the black flame ring on his back got much bigger up above him, and he says gazing eclipse, and we see the like devil bombs shooting out of it. Oh, that is a sick panel. So that's how he's actually trying to counter the blasts from Loki and Ragnar. He's countering them with his black flame explosions. And then we just see the devastation on throughout all of the sun realm in the trees. And it looks like okay, we're cutting away. Okay, this is what I expected. I did expect this because even though I would be completely happy, and I'm sure a lot of you would be, with just sitting here with Loki and Emu for multiple chapters, that's just it's not that feasible because there is still a lot of moving parts that need to continue to progress. So Oda obviously has to, cut around and move. So here we go. It looks like I'm seeing Bonnie here. Don't worry, I'm not going to try to fight that. Yeah, good idea. Don't go anywhere near there, please. And Lilith here. Oh, that's cute. Like saying that she is her guardian now. I'd never let you do such a thing. But who is that? That is a good question, Lilith. And okay, and we have Sanji here on the ground, looking rough, looking definitely rough. He's clearly superior. He's clearly the superior of the holy knights of God, but he's not one of the five elders. Obviously, Vegapunk is familiar with the Gorosei and making astute assumptions here. Yep, that makes complete sense. How basically deducing that because the world government is such a massive organization lasting hundreds, 800 years, that it's only natural that power in that will breed deeper and deeper darkness, which Emu is the actual manifestation of that darkness. And she's about to continue to say which would mean, and we see a little like visage of from the side of Vegapunk here as well, like the original Stella body, which is cool. Sanji's sitting up. Bonnie's trying to stop him, saying he's too hurt. And Sanji says, "There's no other choice for me, Bonnie." That's right, Sanji. Oh, and we're cutting flashback after Sanji took the attack from Emu. And that we have Killingham here, like walking up to him. Yeah, because obviously Killingham had like a vendetta against Sanji, and Sanji just didn't care. And Killingham is basically like, "Well, I didn't even need to take you out myself." But he does say, though it's incredible you're even alive right now, which that attack from Emu, I said it a few chapters ago. That attack, even though it's a like was a simple like spinning back kick, it was infused with the Omen flames and what looks to be Conqueror's Haki as well. Like that attack would kill probably 80% of the people in the One Piece world, maybe even higher. So it is insane from a, durability standpoint, which we know Sanji, that's one of his greatest assets is his exoskeleton from his Germa lineage. And okay, Sanji's like, "Where are you going?" Killingham saying, "Getting back to the mission." Like, "Can't you see my rippling strength?" Okay, dude, calm down. It's literally only because of Emu, which I mean, still doesn't take away from it. So long, sucker. Oh, that is just rude. He takes off and he like hits Sanji as he's like Team Rocket blasting off into the sky. Okay, now we're back to Sanji. Okay, he says he still hasn't given up on kidnapping those children. Okay, so they're trying to carry on through with the original plan to still take the kids hostage to try to bring Elbaf under heel for Emu. I can't let all of our battles be for nothing. And he's like holding his right shoulder as he takes off. This is a land that Usopp and Luffy have been dreaming about. I'm going to keep Elbaf safe. That's right, Sanji. That's right. And I like the mention here that it's Usopp and Luffy have dreamed about this because they have. So I like to get that call out. I'm hoping that that will mean Usopp will. I don't know how it's going to come about, but I'm still hopeful that Usopp will play a pivotal role in the resolution for the people of Elbaf in this arc, because I think it would basically be a full circle moment for him to get acknowledged by the people who he sees as like the epitome of brave warriors, to have them show that same level of respect back to Usopp. It's the land of giant, beautiful. Of course. Yep. Sanji's always got to throw in the women here. He's got to throw in the women. Okay. We are now at the Owl Library. So around the back, there's a hidden tunnel. Okay. Here we go. The books are definitely going to be safe. There's a hidden tunnel ending in a secret room. And you managed to protect all the books from the fire. Well done, Biblo. This owl, bro. Am I surprised? No. I am not surprised. I thought it was very unlikely that all of those texts from O'Hara, from the Buster Call, that were actually reclaimed and saved and brought to Elbaf. I did not believe that they were going to be destroyed before Robin had a chance to at least read some of them. So I'm not surprised. It doesn't bother me. You know, I don't know if it would bother anybody that they're not destroyed. Because I know there's the whole conversation around consequences in One Piece and like if they're there or not. But this one seemed fairly straightforward to me that it wouldn't happen. Robin, thank you. I thought they were all lost. Good point. Good point, Saul. He's saying like he's glad. And he says, and if I got to admit it, I'm even more perplexed about you than before, Biblo. Who is this owl? Who is this owl? You can see the eyes. They have the ringed eyes. In just the look that the owl is like Biblo is giving here is way too human and sentient. I think it's on purpose. And the fact that they were so proactive about saving these texts, there is absolutely without a doubt that they have some connection. Oh, I'm so interested about this owl. This owl, but he's kind of creepy too. I'm not gonna lie. He's cute looking, but he's kind of creepy. And we're cutting away to another area. So this is gonna be, we're jumping around. So the Sea Cloud port by the Western Village. And here we go. And I'm seeing a giant ship being tossed down. Oh, it's Summers. It's Summers. Okay. So, because the last ship got destroyed, he went and retrieved another ship because they're going to continue the mission. What I will say here, actually, just let me finish reading this page and then I just putting a pin in. I got to talk about Summers a little bit here, or mainly the Omen. This is Summers speaking. Did I say Summers? I meant Super Summers. This is what I'm talking about. I found a giant ship to use. Bring the brats over here in 5 minutes. So he must be talking. He's probably trying to talk to Killingham here. So this is actually kind of crazy from just like a physical strength feat perspective, is that he was able to carry a giant ship. These things make the Sunny can like sit inside the ship on like a chair. so like this thing is absolutely gargantuan. And he was able to pick it up, presumably like jump across the sky with it and throw it down. So we know that the Depths Covenant in becoming a God Knight, we know that that does grant them not only the regeneration, like the undying body, but it gives them a strength boost as well. And clearly the Omen adds a whole other level of it to it. So they are really like beefed up here. And we're cutting again. So now we are back in the Western Village. They're seeing the fight between Emu and Loki, kind of like the explosions and stuff out in the forest. Okay, and here we are with Chopper. So Chopper seems to be doctoring, doing his doctor thing. The cut through your fingers was incredibly sharp and clean, so they should reattach, but it'll take months for a full recovery. Okay, so we got Garrett here. Garrett getting her fingers reattached. Okay, I mean, hmm, this is a tough one. This is a tough one because I kind of touched on this a little bit with the books from the library. That those ones I never thought they were being like full on destroyed. But this all ties into the same conversation that I feel like has been circling One Piece for a long time, and that's like the conversation around stakes and consequences. And like here, Gerd Garrett has her fingers, kind of chopped off by Emu, which was crazy to see in real time because Oda doesn't really like straight up maim characters like that. And it was good and I liked it. And now, we're here, what, two or three chapters later, her fingers are back on. Now, I understand it says it's going to take months for a full recovery. Okay. Also, reattaching fingers that are cleanly severed. That's something like we can do in our world, and it's actually not that complicated, and people do it all the time. So it's not that there's any issue with Chopper actually reattaching the fingers. It actually makes sense more than a lot of the things we've seen in One Piece, like Pell, and there's a whole laundry list of unbelievable situations. But I'm sure there are going to be people out there complaining, and I even feel it a little bit myself about there being a lack of consequences and stakes in One Piece. And there's kind of like two ways that I see this, which is like one, I do agree and I wish or would like to see some more serious repercussions in the story. But I think at this point, Oda has established clearly the type of story that he wants to write. And the type of story that he wants to write is one that is not focused on being darker and heavy. It's more uplifting and lighthearted. So I think at this point, it's like there really isn't too much of a reason to complain about it. Like if it's a deal breaker for you, then it's like you just stop reading it. But at this point, I think it's just well established that he's not going to like operate in that severe manner. Now, I do think having Emu here and the God Knights, it's like I want to feel that tension of like, oh gosh, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I genuinely don't know what's gonna happen. I think people are really gonna die or there's gonna be serious repercussions. And I would be lying if I said that I felt that way. I don't. It's it's one of those things in One Piece where you're just like, well, we know things are just ultimately going to work out for us and there's really not going to be any consequences. And you know what? Maybe Oda is going to shock me and a lot of other people out there, but that's not necessarily the full reason that I read One Piece. I just love the story and I think at this point I've just accepted the lighthearted nature of it and a little bit of the lack of consequences. And so that's kind of like just my little spiel on that. But let's continue. I went on like a whole tirade there. And everyone's just okay. We have Hyrule here. He's all bandaged up from the explosion from the omen that he received from Emu. And everyone's just thanking Chopper for, helping everybody out. He's just saying that you know, it's only emergency care. Once we're through this disaster, I can give them proper treatment. That makes a lot of sense. You just got to patch people up as effective as possible for now and take care of the disaster at hand. Okay, we got Road here, just obviously simping over Gerd, full on. Okay, she's given Road some props here about the fact that when she saw him sacrifice, like, or risk his life for his little brother Bjorn, like, it did make her think better of him. So that's great to see. Frodo, he's squirting blood when he gets excited. He's wild. Okay, team Zorro here. They're leaving the Western Village. He's riding on Goldberg here. Goldberg is running. He's basically Zorro's taxi service right now, which is great because also directionally, Goldberg knows where he's going, whereas Zorro would have no clue. Yep, he's the only. That is a great point. He's the only one out of the new giant warrior pirates that is not horribly wounded. You know, Haruden got blown up, Stanson got his leg cut off, and Gerd got her fingers cut off. So they got jacked up. Okay, and he's thanking Zorro for, helping out with Elbaf's, like, they're in peril right now, so he's thanking them. And Zorro says, "No worries, our captain's a friend's country is my country kind of guy." Yep, that's that's 100% the truth. Um, you know, Fishman Island, obviously Wano, like, it's just there's so many examples. Luffy is like, "Hey, oh, all the way back to Alabasta, Vivi." I can see why Hyruden thinks so highly of him. Exactly. Luffy, if you're his friend, there is absolutely nothing that Luffy is not willing to do to help you. And we've got Zoro here. That black flame, though, it was transforming into steel bullets and bombs. And he clearly helped the god knights who were already here power up further. If we don't put an end to it soon, things will get out of hand. Very true. But this is interesting. He's talking about the black flames, and he says it was transforming, the black flames themselves were transforming into steel bullets and bombs. So that was when he struck Zoro in the face, or that was actually a steel bullet. So it's like the flames are transforming into the bullets as he's shooting them. And then same thing with the bombs. We've seen all of his Omen attacks turn into massive explosions, even just earlier in this chapter as well. So he seems to be able to create weapons out of the black flames. So that's where it kind of ties into, I was talking about last chapter with the blade Nemesis. He seemed to have transformed the black flames into that blade, not that he summoned a black blade that's like in storage. It could be that as well, but Zoro here says specifically through the black flames, he's transforming it into steel bullets and bombs. And it seems like the blade Nemesis is the same thing. So that's really interesting how he's able to do that. But let's continue here. Okay, we're in the port in the Western Village, and someone's coming over the radio. Summers, I messed up. I summoned the wrong thing. Oh, summoned. Okay, so that's probably killing him. Killing him. You didn't. Yes, what I'm afraid of. I got overzealous. Oh, okay. So he's summoned something that he shouldn't have summoned, and it's what he is afraid of. What is he afraid of? You idiot. Now you're gonna be freaking us out, but you can still control it, right? So us. So the The celestial dragons? Just the god knights specifically? What are they afraid of? I mean, obviously outside of like the sun god. Yes, it's still a sleep did or dream demon, whatever. This is the official translation, so they say sleep did. So I think so. Well, what's done is done. Just hurry. We don't have time. What about Gunko? Yeah, what about Gunko? I saw her on the way here, but she's gotta be dead, man. Okay, well, that means she must still just be on the ground from after Emu shot an omen bomb at the ice block that she was flash frozen in. So be it. Great Emu's body is not meant to withstand the outside. But why? Tell us why. He may not know. Well, he obviously is aware of it. But even pushing past that, the strength we need and the strength we ought to destroy are both right here. So the strength they need, the giants, the strength that they ought to destroy is probably the Straw Hats, Luffy, and probably Loki, presumably as well. Do not disappoint the Great One. We must live up to his expectations, Killingham, of course. We're back to the West Village, so we're really popping around here. Rain. We were just in the West Village, weren't we? Yeah, at the pub in the Western Village with Chopper and in the gang. Now we're back there, and all of a sudden it's raining. Rain. It's a downpour out. What does this mean? It's flooding indoors. Don't let the wounded get soaked. This isn't Nami. Nami is off over by the library. So this isn't from Zeus. Go capture those brats. So this is Killingham saying that. So he's talking to presumably the sleep did or the dream demon that he summoned. So does the rain have something to do with whatever he summoned? Ah, we got the kids screaming in this giant hand. It looks like it's made out of some liquid, and it's got Colin. It's got a bunch of the kids. Colin, Ilva, help us! There's something outside. So it's raining, and there's this giant, what looks to be water hand. We were born in a high place. We were born in a place so high, it's above all the rain clouds. Water coming down from the sky, it's a mysterious terror. Wait a second. Okay, wait. I'm sorry. If you're new here, I do whenever I read something and just like thoughts pop into my head, I stop and I talk about it. I know that if I could just keep reading, I'll probably get some answers, but that's not the point. I'm exploring it when I think about it. So we're seeing the rain, we're seeing a water hand, and then he's talking about rain falling from the clouds and how they're in a place so high that water falling down from the sky sounds like terrifying. And he talked about summoning what he was most afraid of. Does this have something to do with the rain god? That's where my mind immediately goes to, because we're seeing rain, we're seeing a water hand. He's talking about rain and how the celestial dragons are terrified of it. And the only thing that I could possibly think of would be the rain god. But I could just be totally wrong. It could be something else. But that's what I thought of. And I just like had to like finish that thread before we actually see what transpires. And if so, you know what? Let's keep going. I'm going to keep going. After the people of the D and Nika, it was the most common boogeyman they warned us about. So obviously, like I said before, Nika, the D, yep. That in the lower world, there's a monster called the Rain God. No way, no way. Okay, yes, sorry, I get it. It was literally on the same page. I just had to read like two more sentences. I apologize, but that's just the way I operate. Take it or leave it. that dumps water on top of your head. The rain god. So he summoned a sleepted, like a dream demon version of the rain god. Okay, I'm about to turn the page. About to turn the page. What is that? What is this panel? God of Rain, ZaZa. Okay, that's where ZaZa comes from. I was like waiting. I'm like, when does this chapter title come? Nika, ZaZa. Okay, we've got two of the gods named. You know, we still got the forest god and I think what the land or the earth god left. Wow, look at this. Okay, I'm taking in this whole appearing to the rhythm of the prayers for rain. Ooh, it's Zaza, freaky. Oh, and Killingham's like way up in the air above it. And it's just downpouring. The whole village is just being submerged in water. And oh, she's got like, okay, looks, yep, female, 4 arms. It's like completely made out of water. And obviously, this is a dream demon. Okay, there's just, wow. I'm like, there's so much. I'm gonna finish reading. I'm gonna finish reading because it looks like, yep, we're on the last page. This is the last page. I'm gonna finish reading and then I'm gonna talk about Zaza here because now my mind is just like it's about to run. It's about to start sprinting, and I need to finish the chapter before that. So the rain god, Zaza is trying to capture some of the kids. Now take them away, get ready, Summers. We can sail at any time. And then we have, okay, Zoro and Goldberg. Uh-oh, something's going on at the village. Oh, and if I zoom in, you can see Zaza from behind that pause. But the ring, dude, the ring behind her. I can't wait. Okay. Hmm. Oh, nah. Huh? Oh, okay, that's Sanji. Sanji's up in the air skywalking and he's going towards the village. Goldberg and Zoro are going away from the village and he says, "Hey," Zoro says, "Hey, get the job done right." And then Sanji says, "Same to you." That's right. Both of you talk your crap. That's what gets these two operating at their best is when these two are competing, when these two are talking crap to each other. That is when they pull out the best of their abilities. So awesome. Chapter end. All right. 1182. Overall, great chapter. Overall, it's a great chapter. There was a lot of bouncing around. But that is the end of the exploration. Now it is time for post chapter thoughts and for me to just go crazy with whatever I'm thinking about. So overall, chapter was great. The 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 weakest parts was the middle. You know, it was necessary. We needed to see where everybody was. Uh the Gerd the the Gerd or Gerd, I don't know how it's actually pronounced. I'm gonna go Gerd. It's just easier to say. The Gerd finger thing, I get it. It makes sense. I don't love it, but you know, it's fine. The Biblo, super curious about this dang owl, but I figured the books would be saved. That's also good because her to we need Robin to be able to read them. The beginning portion with Loki, Ragnar, and Emu was great. Emu giving us some more kind of lore, talking about how Nidhogg is a traitor, whether in the past or talking about it currently. He's speaking to Ragnar. You know, we're getting cool information about how the Nidhogg and Ragnar's abilities kind of synergize together to create greater impact. We're seeing Emu use new moves. Gazing Eclipse looks crazy, but that's all we got from them. And now for the meat and potatoes of this post chapter discussion, which is ZaZa. I love this design. Obviously, this is a dream demon. It's a sleeptid created from Killingham about what he fears most. And apparently, what the other celestial dragons fear most outside of the D clan and Nika is the rain god, which makes sense. They never see rain, they're all the way up at the top of the red line. And with everything going on with like the rising sea level, all that stuff, like there's reasons why they chose that location that we just don't have all the information about yet. But it may tie into this. So first of all, awesome design, the hat, the like being all made of water. So we don't know if the actual rain god, we don't know if ZaZa, if it is a devil fruit, just like Nika. We don't know if this is the form that they would take. I'm assuming it is, which would be so cool to see this because they have 4 arms. And just like the whole water powers thing is something that has been always like talked about in One Piece, but always kind of thrown away because of the weakness of devil fruits. But this is like a little bit different because it's rain, but it's still creating kind of the same situation. But it's rainwater and not seawater. But then there's the whole situation of if it's deep enough, does it strip the devil fruit users of their abilities? I don't know. That gets a little confusing. So, but the design is great. Now, first, I'm going to touch on the ring. The ring behind ZaZa. She also has a ring just like Emu. Now, it's obviously like a rainwater ring. Super cool. But instantly, this just makes me think, is Luffy not, is he not like fully awakened? Like, is his sun god form that he currently transforms into, is that not actually his final form? Pun intended, anime pun here. It's not even his final form. But really, it might not be because we see Emu with the devil powers, and now we're seeing ZaZa as one of the other 4 gods of like the pantheon of One Piece mythology, and she has a ring behind her. Luffy still only has the white cloud sash. So I'm like, now I'm thinking, I'm like picturing a like a sun ring behind Luffy's back, and somehow maybe he can even like Emu can gift the omen to the God Knights. Maybe Luffy can somehow gift power to like his allies. Because right now it just seems after seeing Emu, there really does seem to be a next, kind of like power. I don't want to say power level, but like another tier of strength. And Luffy still has like a stamina issue with Gear 5, which he used to have a stamina issue for Gear 4, which he like doesn't have that anymore. So is it something where if he like maybe these mythical god fruits, like the actual like I said, the pantheon, the 4 gods of One Piece, maybe they have like a second awakening? Because we were told when it comes to at least the devil fruits and their awakenings from Doflamingo, it was for Paramecia, but we see that they are able to influence the environment around them. And for Zoans, we've seen awakenings. The beginning of it was the jailers, the jailer beasts in Impel Down, but then we end up seeing um, Lucci. He achieved his awakened form, and it's basically just a powered up version of whatever the animal is. And he's got like the black cloud sash, which we thought that was kind of the symbol of awakening for zone types. Because Luffy, him, we had Yamato had the sash as well. But then now we're seeing another one of the 4 gods that is spoken about in the same way as the sun god, and she has a ring in the back. So I'm like, oh my gosh, is this Luffy's next power up? I don't know if he's going to call it Gear 6, but when he first awakened in Wano to the true power of his devil fruit, and he awakened as the sun god, he was able to influence the area around him to turn it rubbery and basically access Toon Force at that point. So, like, his actual power seemed to have awakened, but maybe like I said, maybe these god fruits have like a second tier of awakening. I don't know. That's just my thought. I'd love to hear what you guys think about the ring and the connection to Luffy. Is this maybe hinting at another potential power up for him? Because I'm thinking when he joins the fight with Emu, somehow in his fight against Emu, maybe he will learn more about his own capabilities and the capabilities of the sun god fruit. And that may lead to a second awakening. Now, that's unprecedented. That's pure headcanon, but I need to know. I need to know. I want to know what you guys think about it. So please comment down below what your thoughts are on about that. And now moving on to the last part, and this is also still in relation to ZaZa, because now my mind is like, okay, who could potentially wield, if this is another devil fruit, which I'm going to assume it exists, who could potentially be a wielder of this fruit? Now, I have two people come to mind immediately for me. One, I think actually fits. It's tough. This is tough. I see some narrative connections to two different characters. I'm going to start with probably what's more people's the most obvious one, which is Dragon. Okay? Dragon, the world's most wanted criminal. So obviously, he's the direct opposition to the celestial dragons. That is literally what the Revolutionary Army, they are pitted directly against the celestial dragons. ZaZa is something that the celestial dragons fear just as much as the D clan and of fear Nika. So having the leader of the force that directly opposes the celestial dragons, having this fruit would make sense to me. And we've seen him arrive with a storm. Most of the time it's associated with wind. So that's where I'm like, wind. But like when he does show up in Logtown, there is like a storm. And I believe when he first shows up in the manga, it does rain, if I'm not mistaken. So please let me know if I'm mistaken on that. But I think I'm right. So he always like shows up with like a storm. Now it's mostly been wind, but we also don't know if the god of rain is specifically limited to just rain, or is it also other forms of weather on top of it? And that's how he could be utilizing the wind. So there's one option, which I'm totally cool with, would make sense why the government not only is he the leader of the Revolutionary Army, but he also wields a power that they are absolutely terrified of. So that to me would warrant why they have him as the most wanted criminal in the world. So there's one. The second option is someone who I referenced at the beginning of this exploration, which is Vivi. There's a lot of interesting potential ties here with Vivi as well. So one, and this may seem like kind of simple and dumb, but Vivi's hair. Her hair is blue. It's like the color of water. So there's one thing. She's from Alabasta. Alabasta is the sandy island. She brought the rain back to Alabasta when they won at the end of the arc. There's the whole dance powder stuff, making it rain. There's also the naming here of ZaZa, Vivi, Lily, TT, all of the, like, it's the same naming scheme. It's like the two letters repeated again. Could be coincidence. I don't know. but having the rain god be associated with the princess, well, now the sovereign of Alabasta, and possibly in the past with Lily as well, like the people could have worshiped or prayed to the rain god on a desert on the sandy island. They've always had an issue with it not, it's a desert. It's rain. They need rain to survive. And that was the whole impetus that Crocodile decided to latch onto to sow the seeds of revolt. So we have the hair, we have the connection with Alabasta and the Sandy Island. But then on top of it, we have Emu's obsession with Vivi as well. So obviously there was a connection in the past with Lily as well, and now there is Vivi. So it might just be a whole amalgamation of things. And on top of it, ZaZa, it appears in god form to be a woman. Now that doesn't mean that dragon can't have it, but it may lend to going specifically to a woman. So that's my thoughts on ZaZa, where she could potentially be lurking and who may potentially come to wield the power, because I would be surprised if this is like the only time we see ZaZa and it's just from this. It could be. This is just could be a cool way of Oda showing us the other gods in the, pantheon of the One Piece world, but I think it's deeper than that. So those would be my two best candidates for potential rain gods. So please let me know. I've yapped for, I feel like, a very long time, but the best parts of this chapter were absolutely fire. So Elbaf is just giving us so much juicy stuff. But this is what I talked about in the beginning of the chapter. And here I go again. Get used to it. If you're here, I'm just going to keep talking because I'm firing. But this is what I talk about with Oda. This is what Oda does, is he gives us another piece. Like, we're seeing what may potentially be what the rain god looks like. I would venture to say yes. And we see this, which should be, it's filling in another piece of the puzzle. But now the puzzle just got even bigger. It got even bigger because it's like, who wields it? How is it connected to Nika? Like, why are the celestial dragons like told about it from when they're little kids? Like, it's a boogeyman story. Like, there's so much. Oda always does this. He does this. And this is why we love it, because it just always, your brain starts running after every chapter. And I am absolutely loving it. I'm here for it. I know you guys are all as well. So if you have made it to the end of this video, I greatly appreciate you. I love being a One Piece fan and just having the opportunity to talk about this. So please, in the comments below, let me know what you think. What are some of your best theories? I'm not really on social media. I'm not on any of the other platforms outside of YouTube, and I don't even really watch other YouTube videos. So if there are some prevailing theories or things that I overmit, like I just missed entirely, please, I like to invite any additional information that you guys have. This is not just about only my interpretation. I want to get your interpretation as well, because then it can bring me a more rounded and complete view of the story that we love. So anyways, again, I appreciate you, and I hope you guys are having a great day or night wherever you're at. Peace.